It's always good to have the back room open, they have a DJ, playing some. So I.
What do you say, chief?
Yeah.
It's on the western end of the park.
Hi, Greg.
Hey, gang.
I remember you.
Yeah, how you doing?
Good to see you.
Good seeing you. Hey, that guy. I like this. The only blue. Let me take a look at that. I didn't know if you were going to require one you had.
Is you
Hey, Greg.
All the wrinkles in you. See, I had wrinkles yet. There's all on the way now.
Hey.
Yeah. Look at that guy. Yeah. This is, you know, I'd rather have Zoom, I could be at home. Oh, I'm not gonna say it.
That's the thing, the bad thing about Zoom is, I like to see people, you do that, I like to do it from there.
Yeah.
Fucking one down. Is it-
When you turn the camera on, you have a beer line.
So
Hey, today,
His partner's on mute and his camera switched.
Excuse me?
I said you guys had a good stretch now.
Sure. She was down for 10 days.
That was my spot, if you don't mind. You mind?
You stay up overnight?
It's okay, it's
I
fine.
got it on 147.
No, no,
No.
I could spend 220 a night.
No, just-
That's about 160
Meeting next month.
plus
I've just been notified.
46
I may not
bucks
be able to
parking
make it.
plus the hotel tax.
Got called in.
It's right there.
They do.
So-
Get you to feel good.
I go back.
You know, we got
New York too, the litany they give you.
that's really Berkshire. I can call and then you can stay into the thing, will be on the road.
You know what, I didn't even think about it. Bringing that up to someone else.
So just homes on that 8,000.
It's funny, but you have
Oh, this is right there.
You know, it's
On
really
vacation.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they still owe me too.
Hey, put him up there.
Andy,
I can't believe it. I killed 16 trees in years.
She does that.
well,
And it's coming past me, so I'll encourage it.
And she, I never got
And I still like,
congratulations and
I'm sorry, I like the old grill.
glad to see you at the helm.
I like the ambiance of it. I
It's
just
good.
felt comfortable in there.
I do love the reports. I mean, I always like to see who's creeping around.
You knew everybody when you walked in the door, you knew everybody that was sitting there.
Some of the stupid things.
Stuff like
I
that.
mean, thinking,
Kids
like,
like
why
when
they
they graduate from college.
There's,
why
I'm
is
not
that
sure,
law?
I gotta check the calendar, I'm not sure if there's still.
we did the opposite.
Well, you know, Andy's fun.
Yeah.
28 ounces.
Keeps them busy. But then,
Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
and it worked. I have to check this schedule, I
She used to
forget.
take, she used to take 5, 6
Uh-huh.
I know, it's gonna happen. It is.
I don't know what it's
An hour out.
Oh, your guys' never lunch. There's been Wi-Fi settings. Nothing was working. I was in trouble for like 20 minutes.
We didn't use one, we didn't have a thumb drive.
I used it yesterday. I came in. Thank you.
We had the water meeting
I took mine home, didn't want to do one. People were yelling at me last night, why is our HDMI cord in the top of the basement steps? I'm like, please. I remember talking to you.
They had one fall down today during the rainstorm on
Yeah.
Timberline.
I mean, I would just give them the high level, which is there's no mask,
We always
no
have
dish. Hopefully Governor.
It's 7 o'clock, we're all day to order,
Go.
and then we'll start the meeting with a pledge of allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Bowser?
Here.
Councilmember Woodward?
Here.
Councilmember Brenner?
Here.
Councilmember James?
Here?
Councilmember Bennett? Here. Councilmember Dirt?
Here.
And Council President Paul.
Here. There was an executive session before tonight's meeting to discuss litigation and personnel issues. Before we get into the public comments, it's nice to be back after 14 months and see everybody's faces around the table again. And thankfully, nobody was from the borough staff or the council people were ill with COVID, and it's nice to be back. Pat, thanks again for all the work you did, and Michelle, all the work you guys have done with keeping the place safe and keep everybody operating well. First thing is public comments. Does anybody have anything tonight?
I'll let the ladies.
Ma'am?
Hi, first of all, is anybody here from Berkshire Heights area? Okay.
Will you please give your name and your address, please?
Tammy Swigert, 510 North 4th Street, Wyomissing. The Drexel through
4th
runs
Street.
right in front of my house.
Yeah.
We've been dealing with this for quite a while. And I don't know if you're familiar, they did the carve out right across the street from us at the borough side. Is there any reason why Borough Council voted down to make that permit parking for the spots that you took away from the tax-paying homeowners in that area?
We haven't discussed that at length at a committee. I think we've talked about it. We're aware of the situation over there, and we are going to put that on the agenda for the Fire and Police Committee meeting, which is coming up in a couple of weeks, to discuss it, and we'll probably get some input from the infrastructure and the chief of police, and try to get some resolution for you. So we are well aware of the situation. Michelle Bear has told us, at least made me aware of it, and the borough manager.
So it hasn't been voted down and it hasn't been discussed.
Well, it may have been some discussion, but it hasn't been discussed with council at length. You know, there's 7 of us. We operate on a committee system. The heavy work is done in the committee where most of it's hashed out and see what resolutions can be made. And after we've come up with some viable information, after we've gotten input from all the departments involved, then we will take it to council and we will vote on it. And that usually comes from the chief, the mayor, the infrastructure committee, fire and police, which we get everything put together and something that everybody can live with.
What I didn't hear in that conversation was the tax-paying voting homeowners in there that this truly affects. So when are we going to be added to the mix?
You are added to the mix. You can come to the committee meeting.
Well, this is the first that I've heard that it was actually discussed before, because the whole time we're asking, can we get it permitted, can we? And we keep getting told no, just flat out no. It can't happen, it can't happen, it can't happen. And then lo and behold, I get an email this week, oh no, it's been brought before council, and council is the one that said no. So now this is totally not, okay, thank you for the clarification for the information.
We invite you, encourage you to come to the Fire and Police Committee. And
Monday, June 28th, at 12 o'clock.
And that's what we will talk about at that particular time. We will discuss this issue and see what we can do to make things better for you.
Okay, so just to clarify, it hasn't been completely shot down, it is still in the works of being discussed?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
June 28th at 12 o'clock.
Oh, I have the date, thank you. Trust me, I have the date. Going through this, and literally having our lives turned upside down,
Yeah.
it's delightful.
Well, the nice part about it is we do have a Fire and Police Committee meeting at noontime and 3 o'clock infrastructure and right after it. So it's just one of those things that's gonna be over and done with, and we'll have something, some answer for you. Hopefully we'll get something together that everybody can live with.
I mean, it only affects literally 3 vehicles. I mean, and I'm not even here for myself. I'm here for my elderly neighbor that has breathing difficulties. And my other neighbor that has children that have, that has a neurological issue where parking a block away from her home may be detrimental to this child. So that, I'm not even here for myself, so thank you very much for taking this,
Thank you and your neighbors for being so patient during this project that was going over there. That was very involved.
Oh, it's still going.
Well, yeah, but it's almost through, and it'll be finished quickly, hopefully.
Well, you have quite a few homeowners that want to move out because of multiple issues over there. And you're going to have a lot more renters over there. So, good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
That's okay.
Adrian J.D., 48 Cardinal Road. So, I guess we're all happy to finally be able to participate in person to council and committee meetings. But for all that was bad, this pandemic has taught us that we can listen to our constituents even when they are at home, in their living room or in the car. We've seen all sorts of things at these past meetings. I wish to take this opportunity to ask our government to continue to provide access to meetings through Zoom. There's no doubt that the practice of not providing this discriminates against many categories of residents, from handicapped people to working moms, people working afternoon shifts, and so on. Not many people can show up in person here. So we have right now, after more than a year of remote meetings, we have all the tech, all the know-how that we need to provide this. We don't have to invest in anything, we just have to have the will to do it. So I urge you, in the name of transparency and public participation, to provide that from now on, such that people can come and can make comments without having to physically be here. I hope you understand the reason. There is another issue that I want to discuss about. I appreciate that you are now providing agendas. I remember 1 year ago when you were asking me to file a right to know request for a stupid agenda for a meeting, which was absolutely ridiculous, was an abuse. This was everything but public participation. Yes, sir, that we have multiple. Don't make that face. We have multiple data. We even went to the Office of Open Records on this issue. So, yes, this is what happened. So if you need proof, I can provide proof. So right now, finally, we provide agendas in timely manner. So what I would like to also ask you, I've asked before, there is no information on what you are voting ahead of time so that the people can participate, can understand what's going on. You continue to not allow, during committee meetings, discussion on agenda items, because the people, before the council, the committee meetings, you do not provide information of what's going to be discussed. The material is not disclosed. It is disclosed during the meeting. But the public comments are at the beginning of the meeting. So how the heck are we supposed to comment on the agenda items if we don't know them? And then they come here for approval. And again, today, resolution 11. I've never seen it. I don't know, maybe I missed it. I'm not saying. But with the agenda, you have provided the 2 ordinances, but not the resolutions. We don't know what you're eliminating, what you're repealing. No idea. I cannot say a word about it because I have no idea. I know you're repealing something, that's it. So that is not a normal situation. And I see that you're doing a lot of changes with the elections, and since it's an election year, and obviously these agendas are appearing now because it's election year. So thank you very much. But let's do this too. Yes, it is, but it's fine. So I appreciate your time.
Yeah. Let's see, may I have a motion to accept all the committee reports? Oh, I'm sorry.
Mr. President, Barbara Reister, 1110 Clearview Avenue. The only thing that I would like to see is the public comments coming at the end of the meeting, so that we've gone through the whole agenda and know what you're talking about, so that then we might have public comments rather than in the beginning. Just a thought.
Okay. With a motion and a second to receive all the councilman reports, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Ayes have it. First item of business, are the council minutes for May the 11th of 2021 at 6:30 p.m. Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes of the meeting? Hearing none, all those in favor to accept them as written, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Ayes have it. Next item on the agenda is the consulting engineers report. And Mr. McCartney, you are alive and well. Good to see you.
Yeah, it's nice to see people in person instead of the bouncing head on your computer.
Yeah, isn't that the truth?
Sorry when I'm dressed, I was in the field all day doing inspections.
Yeah, right.
18 of them.
And those are great stakes with the little flags at the top.
I only got 9 done, the rain's not
Great stakes.
On my report tonight, a bunch of things are going to come up during the other committee reports, but let's just give everyone an update on 4th Street. They're putting the binder down today before it rained. Originally they were scheduled to have the binder today and tomorrow, and the wearing course done Thursday and Friday. Looks like that'll be pushed off one day, so all the final paving should be done Monday with the line striping to follow. So we're getting close there. There's some remaining items that have to happen. As everyone's aware, during COVID, everything's behind. So we have light pole foundations, but we don't have light poles or lights yet because they haven't come in. Alan Myers is out doing the handicap ramp work under the PennDOT contract on North Park Road and North Wyomissing Boulevard. The remainder of the work out there, once that's done, will be the changes to the mast arms and the other things which are under our contract. And then when Myers is scheduled for mid-July to come in and mill and overlay, and at that point, that whole project should all be wrapped up by mid-July, which was kind of a promise that we do, kind of be done by July 30. So we should be done well in advance of that.
Great.
The only other thing I had was, as we talked before, PennDOT likes to come out with these grants and give us no time to respond. So they came out with an ARLI grant, and don't ask me what ARLI stands for.
Automatic red light enforcement something.
Exactly, I never know the E. But essentially what we were talking about doing was the grants actually were able to be applied for June 1st. PennDOT released the forms on June 4th, and they're due on June 30th. So what we were looking at doing, the ARLI is similar to the Green Light Go, except in the Green Light Go was a 70-30 match, 30% by the borough. The ARLI grant has no match. So the thought process we had, and unfortunately we can't run this through the committees because of the short timeline, was to take the Green Light Go last application, which was to complete and update all the rest of the 21 traffic signals in the borough to the new controllers with emergency preemption, LED lights, pedestrian push buttons, basically what we did to those first 11 signals, and submit the ARLI grant this month for that. So council would need to authorize submission of that grant if you wanted us to proceed with that.
And the one caveat to that is while we do not expect there's any type of resolution or ordinance that goes along with this, based off of what we could find on the Arlie application, I would respectfully request you consider granting a motion to approve the solicitor to draft a resolution or ordinance to be signed by council president and the borough secretary if need be for submission of the grant application.
I'll make that motion.
Unless Chris wants to edit that motion.
Well, I think we could do the resolution as you described.
Ordinance we have to.
We can't do an ordinance like that, but we could do a resolution, so, yeah. The motion that council could consider tonight would be to authorize the submission of the grant application for the Arlie program and to authorize the, officers of the borough to execute a resolution if one is necessary as part of the application, by the end of June.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor. Oh, Jim?
Yes, so the state of Pennsylvania has two different distinct grant programs to do the exact same thing.
Kind of.
Yeah, Arlie you can do a little more with than Green Lake Go.
And they're funded from separate
Or
sources.
separate pools. And I guess I should have said, previously this was like a $903,000 project in 2018. So right now we have the telco repricing it, we're figuring it's probably gonna be 1.1 or 1.2 million with the material increases that have happened. But no match is the,
So you guys have to vote on applying for money that we don't have to match.
yes.
Yeah,
I like that.
All right, look, we have a motion on the floor. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. We have any questions on the motion? Any discussion? Okay. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Motion carries. I guess by the time, we have to have this in by the 30th.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have a little bit of time. If anybody has anything coming up in infrastructure, if you have some more information.
The other infrastructure is 28?
Yeah,
Yeah.
or fire police.
It's breathing room.
Yeah.
You got a day or so.
Well, thanks, appreciate that. We'll rewrite it in a day.
Jeez. Tom wants to study it. Yeah.
Okay.
One day.
Okay.
So I think everything else in the report, unless some of the council had a specific question that's not covered on my report, will be covered in one of the other committee reports tonight.
Okay, great, thank you. All those in favor of accepting the engineer's report, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Police chief and mayor's report, Mayor Leverett and Chief Phillips.
Thank you, Tom. The chief, of course, will have a couple of comments, I'm sure, and answer any questions you may have. I did want to point out, though, that over the course of the last year, we've had a number of retirements. Things have happened. And we have gone through the process to replace some folks. We've also then had to do a series of promotions to get some sergeants replaced that have retired. And we're pretty well through it. We have 2 new officers who are now in their final training. The board has been sworn in. Later in the meeting, you will be asked to approve the promotion of 2 officers to the rank of sergeant. That will fill out our leadership ranks. I want to again publicly acknowledge the outstanding job that Chief Phillips has been doing since taking the helm. I'm very pleased with everything he's been doing, and not only in organizing the department and so on, but there's been ongoing training over many years. But he has been very much involved in some training that I had the opportunity to observe last week, which is very impressive. It's situational kind of things to have people prepared for the inevitable things that we see on TV, but they happen in real life. And I truly believe that our officers are very well prepared to handle things as they come. Hopefully never needed, but prepared. We also have one other retirement that's recently taken place. Officer Courtney Garrett Hawley has been a longtime member of our department. He chose to retire in the latter part of May, and we wish him the best in his future endeavors. Thank him for his service.
evening, everybody. It's nice to finally be in front of you all. This is the computer. So for the month of May, we were available for service for 3,256.9 hours. We had a total of 609 calls for service for the month. Breaking it down by our business districts and in our community resident type areas, we had a total of 146 in the business districts, which accounted for 24% of our calls, and we had a total of 54 in the community areas, which was 8% of our calls for service. We still are, some items of interest, we're still well stocked with COVID supplies. Hopefully that's all coming to an end and we won't have to worry about all that stuff. Out of our 609 calls for service, we averaged 3.34 minutes of time to arrive on location and 26.17 minutes on calls total. We again put up our traffic signs at particular locations to see some complaints that we got versus speed. Those were in the 1300 block of Parkside Drive South, at Upland Road and Park Road. The 1300 block of Parkside Drive South and Upland Road at Park Road. The posted speed limit is 25 miles per hour at both locations. The 85th percentile was found to be 31.86 at Upland and Park and 22.69 miles per hour on Parkside Drive South. So at the 25 mile per hour speed limit, we don't have a violations that are enforceable by citations. We have to get under 55, we must give 10 before we can write a citation. So there are some things that we're trying to do to try to lower that speed on the Parkside Drive South. We're putting some more of the signs up. I've directed that to be more visible there. So I don't believe that they're going to get citations out of it, or we're just going to try to slow them down to that 25 mile per hour. The mayor has talked about Officer Garapoli and our two new officers. Two new officers should be done with their field training by the beginning of August. So at that point, then they'll be assigned to a squad and be out on their own. On May 3rd, we began an investigation into a sexual assault that we have. The investigation is still ongoing. On May 7th, we conducted a liquor control enforcement detail throughout the borough that was funded by the Pennsylvania Liquor Control Board. We ended up making 2 arrests for alcohol-related offenses during that. On May 12th, I believe you're all aware of the tragic incident that occurred on Cambridge Avenue, where a Western Berks Water Authority employee lost his life in an accident there. There's nothing really for us to do, but the Bureau of Occupational and Industrial Safety are investigating that incident. Our basic job function that day was assisting us with traffic control, notifying other agencies to come and get their response. We've had a couple incidents of graffiti throughout the borough again, mostly along Penn Avenue. In years past, there was a county graffiti abatement team that was run out of the probation office, where the people on probation would be brought out and they would remove that graffiti. That, because of COVID and a retirement, has stopped. I keep calling to find out if they're going to start that back up again. And the basic answer to that is they're not really sure. So if that is something that we lose as a place to go to remove that, that might be something as these things occur, that we might consider how we're going to get it removed. I believe Jim had some of his guys remove some things on some light standards and things like that.
We can do some minor things,
But it's kind of like the broken windows there. We start getting a lot of that, and that's all over. Some of it was on some private property, along some back of businesses along the railroad tracks, so I mean, that would technically be their responsibility. But we get a lot on the bridge abutments, on traffic light poles, control boxes, things like that. And we had various types of trainings that we've done throughout the month. That included, we have an officer going through first aid, AED, CPR instructor certification schools. We had some internet intelligence type training being done, and initial field training with these officers, the new officers at BSERT, which is a monthly type of training that's done. Our top calls for the month, again, it's usually the same two, burglar alarms and traffic. It's pretty steady throughout each month. We had a total of 35 accidents, 15 reportable, 20 non-reportable, brings us up to 229 for the year. Citations, parking, and warnings were 91, so a total of 616 for the three for the year. We had 8 arrests this month, all adults, so we're up to 128 now for the year in total persons arrested. We dealt with 7 wanted individuals. We had 30 Part 1 and Part 2 offenses out of that 609, so 579 were the calls for service. This next chart, I looked at how this was done in the past, and when Chief Beal was doing these, he was combining a few of these, so I was trying to figure out his numbers each month. So what I just decided to do was easier. These are all the actual Part 1 and Part 2 offenses, so I'm listing them all out. So you can see out of the 30 for the May, what they were. 12 were larcenies, 1 was a vehicle theft, 1 was the rape. We had 2 frauds, 3 forgery counterfeit type offenses, 4 vandalisms, 1 DUI, and 1 disorderly, and all others were 2. So right now, we're at 187 total for the year with a clearance rate of 125. So we're in the upper 60s, low 70s percentile. So we're doing real well when our average in the country is usually in the 40 percentile. So we're doing well there. Fuel consumption was 839 gallons for the month. So we're at 4,271 for the year. And mileage was 8,921. So we're at just over 43,000 for the year. Total in revenues that were brought in through fines and reports requested was $7,968.35. By tie, this again, where our incidents occur, it's usually between 11 a.m. and 11 p.m. are our busiest times of the day. That's pretty standard throughout each month. Our incidents that we had the arrest, we had the 2 domestics out of those 8 people that were arrested for the month. Then at the end is the reports that are printed out from the traffic signs that we put up in those locations that I spoke about, the Parkside Drive South and Upland area. So if anybody has any questions, I hope answer them the best I can.
Questions for the chief? Thank you. All those in favor of accepting the police chief and mayor's report, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Ayes have it. Next is fire commissioner's report. Bill.
Okay, for the month of May, Wyomissing Fire Department responded to 143 calls for service. Of those, 60 of those were EMS rescue or motor vehicle crashes, and followed by 43 of those were alarm activations. The breakdown is total responses in the borough were 81, and outside of the borough of mutual aid was 62. Year to date, the department has responded to 632 calls for service. That's it for that.
Any questions for the fire department? Those in favor of accepting the report, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Ayes have it. Infrastructure committee,
Okay, on the 17th of May there, and if you follow along there from page 1 to 2, at the bottom there under the water main replacement, the committee is recommending the council to approve change order number 1 for that project, in the amount of $14,600 to Barrasso Excavating for the installation of a new fire hydrant on Paper Mill Road, and change the insertion valve size from 8 to 10 inches. And I will make that motion.
we have a second. A motion and a second. Melissa, roll call, please.
Brunner,
Yes.
Councilmember James,
Yes.
Councilmember Bennett,
Yes.
Councilmember Durr,
Yes.
and Council President Wall.
Yes.
Okay, on the next page with the streets, the Fourth Street extension, was, the committee's recommending the council to approve the payment application number 7, in the amount of $151,385.34 to Barros Construction. And I will make that motion.
Second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Roll call, please, Melissa.
Councilmember Boucher,
Yes?
Councilmember Woodward,
Yes.
Councilmember Brunner,
Yes.
Councilmember James,
Yes.
Councilmember Bennett,
Yes.
Councilmember Durr,
Yes.
and Council President Wall.
Yes.
Under the sidewalk 50/50 repair, which is actually above that one I just did, committee is recommending the council to award the 50/50 sidewalk repair work to Affordable Paving and Excavating LLC in the amount of $78,888. And I will make that motion.
And a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, ayes have it.
Okay, at the bottom of that page, Public Works Facility, the committee is recommending to council to approve the Assistant Borough Manager and Economic Development Coordinator Michelle Bear to prepare an application for the Community Funding Program grant offered by the U.S. Senate Appropriations Committee on behalf of the borough for that Public Works Facility that we have been discussing, and I will make that motion.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Are there any questions on that? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it.
And finally, and there, under other, committee is recommending the council to approve bidding the library air conditioning project contingent upon the finance committee's review, and should I conclude that that's,
I think the finance committee report includes the recommendation.
all right, so I'll let that go. And I'll wait for you. So, scratch that one. They will come up, it'll come up.
Should be in the minutes, though, that we don't have.
What?
That should be in the minutes that we.
Well, the minutes do reflect the finance committee recommendation. I mean, the infrastructure.
Okay.
Great, thank you.
Let's do that. Okay, that's all, unless Jim, do you have anything to add?
I have nothing to add, no.
All those in favor of accepting the infrastructure report, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Library report, Jim.
Yes, good evening. The library board met on May 17th, we're suspending the meetings for the library, for those board meetings. I think the minutes are fairly self-explanatory, just a couple of things to highlight. Each library has increased their hours once again, so now it's June. They're open 10 to 7 Monday through Thursday, 10 to 5 on Fridays, and 9 to 1 on Saturdays, so almost back to pre-COVID hours. They had a very successful derby party this year. I think everybody was excited to kind of be able to get out and attend events like that, so it was great, it was well attended. I understand it was a good time, and so you were there. So that's good news. And they are also having a 5K fundraiser that will be held through Parklands, starting and ending in Quarry Hills. So it's this Saturday, 9 to 1. They're still taking reservations online on their website, but at least through tomorrow. And I think it's pretty reasonable. It's only about $20, and it's a nice goodies too. So hopefully that will be successful. They'll have some nice weather. So, you know any runners? And the next meeting, the final one we'll have, I guess we'll take a little break for the summer, will be next Monday, at 7 again. It's still gonna be held. Questions?
Any questions for the library? All those in favor of that report, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Personnel committee.
Okay, under personnel items here, we have, two items to, we had two items to attend to. The committee is recommending the council to activate the Civil Service Commission to certify the list, excuse me, of police sergeants, and to authorize the borough manager and police chief to issue conditional offer letters to the top two candidates and start background checks on those candidates. And I'll make that motion.
We have a second on that.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Ayes have it.
Okay, and following that, a procedure, I am recommending, the committee is recommending the council to, approve the appointment of two sergeants, new sergeants, I should say, Paul Bauer and Scott Schaefer, at this time, and they completed everything is done, correct, chief?
Yes.
All the background and all those things have been completed, and, in preparation for this, and I'm asking for, I'll make the motion to approve their appointment.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it.
Congratulations to them.
Our congratulations to the- and give council's good wishes. All those in favor of accepting the personnel committee report, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Thank you. Recreation Board, Steve. And Dan back here.
Okay, lots going on right now in the rec board, obviously with the pools opening and the playgrounds soon to open, but, we had a successful, cleanup day for Earth Day, thank you. We had 30 volunteers for that. Some of the school groups that normally would volunteer for that were not allowed to because they didn't want to cross-pollinate potentially with COVID from one group to another, so the school told them they shouldn't do it, so they didn't do it. There were 67 kids registered for the fishing rodeo. I rode my bike down from the end of the creek to the other creek. If there were 67, there was 167, but only 67 of them registered, so that was successful. Obviously, the Memorial Day Parade was canceled this year, but we did have the ceremony. Jerry Wojciechowski was nice enough to MC it, and I think everything was there. It was even pushed back 2 days, and thank you for doing what you did and for everybody who attended, getting everything, because it was, it could have been just a real dull ceremony, being delayed by 2 days, but it ended up being really nice. So that all worked out well. We had some conversation with Mike Fitzgerald from the Lawrence Foundation, who was trying to coordinate maybe doing something with their run with some other borough activities. There's more to come on all that. I know, Dan, you can talk about hiring and how the playgrounds are going and the pool's going. But I did want to just talk about briefly the 4th of July. The committee, with our recommendation, the committee is moving forward with the 4th of July. And they did make the theme, they came up with a theme that they're going to recommend to council, and the rec board is making a recommendation to borough council to approve the 4th of July event theme of tribute to essential workers. So I will go ahead and make that motion.
I will second that.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Good idea. Good choice. Thank you. Good choice.
It wasn't my idea, so I'm not taking any credit, I'm just reporting on it. Dan?
But we don't know that, so.
It's in the record minutes.
Far too humble.
No, I don't, the only thing that I wanted to point out is that playground registration. We have 352 participants signed up. I'm thinking that's probably pretty high.
That's pretty high.
Yeah, so yes, we're definitely making some, making some money back, so we can do some other things with recreation there. And pool registration, I apologize, I don't have the updated numbers, as far as numbers of membership, but, that's starting to gained some steam. We're having trouble keeping up with making the membership cards now, so, that's a good thing.
Thank goodness for the temperatures, right?
Yeah.
That helped.
And there is a concert in the park Sunday night?
Yes, sir, Sunday night at, 6:30.
At the Stonehouse, normal spot.
Tom, if I may, Steve mentioned the Memorial Day ceremony, that, as he noted, was delayed from what was planned for Saturday to Memorial Day, because of weather, and nobody knew what that would mean to attendance, but we probably had as many people there on Monday morning as we ever have. And it was really well attended, making that change and stuff. It speaks to all of our community.
That's all I have for the rec board.
Okay. Any questions for the rec board? Hearing none, all those in favor of accepting that report, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Fire and police, Bill.
Okay, Fire and Police Committee met on May 24th. Just in addition to the Fire Department monthly report, there were 82 overlapping calls for the month of April, which represented 35% of total calls for that month. Time of response to an alarm was 1 minute and 48 seconds. Average time on the scene was 14 minutes and 44 seconds. Chief Hackman requested permission to purchase a new ice maker for the fire department, and I will make that recommendation. We purchased a new ice machine from the restaurant store in the amount of $3,199. I'll make that motion.
Second. Motion and a second. Melissa?
Councilmember Boucher,
Yes.
Councilmember Woodward,
Yes.
Councilmember Brenner,
Yes.
Councilmember Jenks,
Yes.
Councilmember Bennett,
Yes.
Councilmember Durr,
Yes.
Council President Paul.
Yes.
Bill, you might want to mention that's used by a lot of other departments besides just the fire.
Yeah, just to clarify, this is more of a rehab type unit. It's used by all departments, parks, everyone in the borough. But primarily, they, have water and the ice, for those containers on the trucks, but it is available to all borough units. Good, that was a good point. Okay, discussion ensued regarding the sale of Tower 79 Seagrave. And after some discussion, the committee feels that maybe the best approach for us to get the best bang for our buck on this would be to use a broker, which has roughly charges a 5% commission on that. And I will make that motion.
Second.
Motion and a second. Is there any question? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it.
Okay, just one thing under Western Berks Ambulance, they reported 271 calls for service in the borough. And there were, fortunately, no instances of where Narcan had been used. Yeah. So these other ones I don't have.
Okay, that's all. Okay, any question for the Fire and Police Committee? Hearing none, all those in favor of accepting that report as written, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Economic development. Oh, wait, hold it, got the rep board for the May 23rd.
Yeah, we got a special rep board in there. All right, so the rec board met on May 25th, specifically talked about the parade, and I've already filled in on everything. We're trying to do everything we have in the past. The one thing that will be missing from last year to, or not last year, from the previous years, will be the pie eating contest. We didn't feel there's any real perfectly safe way of having kids eat pies. So we decided not to do that, but everything else will be there, and I will put an APB out if anybody would like to judge any of the numerous things that happen in that parade. We will gladly take your name. If you'd like to stick your next door neighbor with them, that you want to give them a job, we'll take their names too. But we're still looking for some judges for some various items, but other than that, that was basically what that meeting was about.
Anybody check with Charlie Barbera about the pie eating contest? That was funny.
We felt it was just not a good idea. So, that's all that meeting was about, it's just to organize for the 4th of July.
Okay. All those in favor of accepting the rec board report, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Ayes have it. Economic development, John.
I had a meeting with Mark Radcliffe, the West Reading Main Street manager, prior to this meeting, and our meeting, and just get his take on what we can do together, and whatever it's mentioned in the minutes here, but I wanted to have a meeting without him there to see what the committee thought. And there's things we can do. I don't know how we would pay for it, or, we would have a Main Street manager, he would probably first or sell it line. And, there's infrastructure things we could do, like banners, benches, whatever, and out of Western, Wyomissing, that would be like 10 hours of spread. So we all know that, but, he could do some managerial oversight, which is in the minutes, and he's going to come to our July meeting. So then we talked about Stoltzfus homestead,
Could we ask the councilman to speak louder a little bit? There's a lot of air conditioners here, we can't hear anything.
and Chris and Michelle are working on that to try to help them do what they want to do. They need to do a lot to help themselves, but we're working on doing our share. Michelle, do you want to talk about when you had a discussion with Aaron Gantz, or it's in the minutes?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory, just that we're working with Alvernia on a shuttling service, to get the students from the 2 campuses to West Reading, Wyomissing, and Spring Township.
Right. So then there's an old ordinance, or resolution. It's unenforceable according to Chris, that we need to repeal. So,
Resolution is on the agenda, it's resolution 2021-11.
do you want to do that now?
Yeah.
So I recommend council repeal resolution number 1994-24 and have Borough Solicitor Chris Hartman draft a new resolution to be approved and recorded to appear in a new title search. And I so move.
Objection, Mr. President. It was not advertised as,
This is not an ordinance, it's a resolution, it doesn't
Still.
require advertising.
still, I think we should advertise it so we know what we're
Will
repealing.
you let the man finish
I
the
did.
discussion here, please? You're interrupting the meeting.
I made an objection as per
That's fine.
Sunshine Act. I
Quiet.
have the right to do that.
Go ahead, Chris.
So, it is appropriate for council tonight to consider adopting resolution 2021-11, which repeals resolution number 1994-24, which concerned a procedure to require plans to be submitted and approved by the borough when a property was subjected to a condominium declaration for a commercial condominium. And as we discussed in the committee, there may have been an interest at the time that that resolution was adopted in 1994 of ensuring that transfer taxes would be imposed when those condominium declarations were recorded. But since that time, the process for collecting transfer tax on the transfer of condominium units has been perfected by Berks County, so there is no lost tax revenue. And the procedure that was required by that resolution is not, in my opinion, enforceable under the Pennsylvania condominium law, and therefore it's appropriate to repeal that resolution. We became aware of this because of a project that's under development in the borough, and the developer of that project did a title search and came across this old resolution, which was creating problems for that development. And in my opinion, it's not appropriate for us to be the source of a problem for a development with an unenforceable regulation. So my recommendation is for council to adopt the new resolution, to repeal the old resolution, and to eliminate this, in my opinion, unenforceable regulation, which is causing someone a problem in 2021.
I maintain my objection, Mr. President. It was not publicized in time as per Sunshine Act.
Your objection has been noted.
Thank you.
So it's appropriate to rescind this before we adopt the new one, right?
No, the new resolution is to repeal the old one. So it's a resolution to undo an earlier resolution.
So I don't have to do this right now, do I?
No, my recommendation to you is to, supplement the motion you already made a motion.
Right.
But I would supplement that motion to include language to adopt the new resolution.
Okay, so moved.
We have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any question on the motion from council members? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye. That's about all I have.
All those in favor of approving the economic development report, please signify by saying aye. Planning Commission.
We met yesterday and didn't do much, but it's going to be a lengthy meeting in July. But the school district has a project at Wyomissing Hills and at the high school, but that's a 2022 project. And there's a project at Hobart Avenue and State Hill Road, and nobody was there to present anything, so we took no action. That's all I have on that as well.
All those in favor of accepting the Planning Commission report, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Ayes have it, thank you. Finance and Administration. Steve?
Okay, Finance and Admin Committee met on June 7th. Most of the information is in here, but the results in May resulted in an overall fund balance of $12,468,486, of which $866,888 will be reserved, giving us an unreserved balance of $11,601,598. So that's the basic results for the finance. We were notified that there was an audit of the PennDOT reviewing the liquid fuels funds by the borough, and the PennDOT reviewer found that the Berks County Purchasing Co-op did not include all sizes of lines when bidding the line payment in 2019. So as part of the review, it was recommended that $38,438.75 be reimbursed from the general fund, the liquid fuels fund, as part of the corrective actions. So The committee is making a recommendation for council to approve the transfer of $38,438.75 from the general fund to the Lincoln Fuel Fund due to the misappropriation of funds based on the co-op misrepresenting it, and I'll make that motion.
Motion, we have a second.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Michelle, we have a roll call, please.
Councilmember Boucher?
Yes.
Councilmember Woodward?
Yes.
Councilmember Brunner?
Yes.
Councilmember James?
Yes.
Councilmember Menon?
Yes.
Councilmember Durr?
Yes.
Council President Wong?
Yes.
Okay, moving on, it's time to make our second quarter 2021 MMO payment to the pensions. All I can tell you is that the pensions are well vested. So we're going to make the recommendation to council to approve $181,116.75 for the second quarter payment of the 2021 MMO, and I'll make that recommendation also.
Second.
The numbers don't match in the bids. One place it says 181,166.75, and then another place says 181,116.75. And we know what the correct number is. Why don't we do the bigger?
Okay, then I'm gonna make a motion that we make the payment of $181,166.75 for this 2021 MMO contribution. I'll make that motion.
Second. We have a second. Roll call, please, Melissa.
Councilmember Boucher?
Yes.
Councilmember Woodward?
Yes.
Councilmember Brunner?
Yes.
Councilmember James?
Yes.
Councilmember Menon?
Yes.
Councilmember Durr?
Yes.
Council President Wong?
Yes.
Sorry to catch that. Library air conditioning project, there is a $30,000 in the budget, but the bottom line is we have to spend $8,000 to replace or to fix the current air conditioning in the new section of the library, and then turn around and do a bigger project that would basically wash away the $8,000 investment in doing it. So we're not going. Our recommendation is to not do that, but in the meantime is to approve the purchase of 2 temporary mobile air conditioning units for the library, and to authorize Jim Babin, the borough engineer, Jim McCarthy, to begin preparing bid documents for the library air conditioning project in total. So I'll go ahead and make that motion.
Question.
Go ahead.
We need a second.
Motion.
Second.
Just a question, can those be rented?
Probably not for cheaper than what you buy them.
I mean, I have no idea what. Oh, really?
Yeah, we're talking about $500 at most for 2 units.
Oh.
And we can move them from place to place
Right.
out of the borough.
Oh.
We've used them here in Borough Hall in crisis conditions.
We're gonna purchase a couple more, right?
Yeah.
2 more, that's what we just recommended.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. You wanna give us a roll call on that since we're gonna be buying some things?
Councilmember Boucher?
Yes.
Councilmember Woodward?
Yes.
Councilmember Brunner?
Yes.
Councilmember James?
Yes.
Councilmember Menon?
Yes.
Councilmember Durr?
Yes.
Council President Wong?
Yes.
Okay, then we were notified that the DEP grant for $86,590 to purchase a new leaf vacuum has been awarded, and the borough is responsible for $9,700 as a match. So the committee is making a recommendation to move forward with the purchase of the leaf vacuum and authorize the appropriate staff to execute the grant agreement. I'll make that motion.
Second?
Second.
And we'll get a roll call on that too, Melissa, please.
Councilmember Boucher?
Yes.
Councilmember Woodward?
Yes.
Councilmember Brunner?
Yes.
Councilmember James?
Yes.
Councilmember Menon?
Yes.
Councilmember Durr?
Yes.
And Council President Wong?
Yes.
Okay, then we had a presentation from Chief Phillips regarding the body cameras and cameras for the car for the police officers. Side note, we had an interesting day at court where it would have come in very handy to have those police body cameras in hand. So I think it's very timely, just put it that way. But the committee is making a recommendation for the council to authorize the purchase of 16 body-worn cameras and 7 mounted cameras for the police department at a purchase price of $122,670. $46,000 will be expended from the unbudgeted items category, unbudgeted revenue item category, with $23,000 being reimbursed once the grant is received, and the remainder of the purchase price will be budgeted over the next 4 years. So I'll go ahead and make that motion.
Second.
A motion and a second. Roll call, please, Melissa.
Councilmember Boucher?
Yes.
Councilmember Woodward?
Yes.
Councilmember Brenner?
Yes.
Councilmember Jenks?
Yes.
Councilmember Bennett? Councilmember Jarrett?
Yes.
And Council President Holmes?
Yes.
Okay, and then we had been asked to participate with some tax assessment appeals that will be within the borough, and so we have asked, we're going to make a motion that the council authorize Borough Solicitor Chris Hartman to represent the borough in that litigation with the position that a recent tax assessment appeal has been denied to be upheld. So we're asking Chris to participate in that appeal. I'll make that motion also.
Second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it.
I think that's the most we've had to do in the finance committee in a long time.
Can I just clarify one thing that Steve said?
Sure.
Steve used the word misappropriated as it related to the liquid fuels funds. And I just wanted to clarify, the funds were not misappropriated, and they were not misused. They were used to pay for lines that were smaller or bigger than what the contract for the co-op called for. So the funds that are $38,000 were paid to put lines down the road as they were supposed to be. So the funds were not misappropriated.
Okay, thanks. Clarifying that.
Thank you.
Well, it does, yeah, just want to make sure that was clarified.
Thanks, Chief. I believe that's all the finance committee has.
All those in favor of accepting the finance committee report, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Borough managers report. Pat.
Yes, Mr. Council President, Michelle, I'd like to make
I have a last minute addition to Pat's report. You may recall, as part of infrastructure, I had to put out an RFQ for engineering services for the PennDOT multimodal grant. Those RFPs were received, and I would respectfully request a motion to accept McCarthy Engineering's RFP for the PennDOT multimodal grant and for all other current and future projects.
I'll make that motion.
Second. A motion and a second. Any question on the motion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it.
Thank you.
Westernburg Board meeting minutes were received on June 7th and they're emailed out to council for your review. The joint municipal authority minutes were not received this month. The American Rescue Plan application for funding was completed by Assistant Borough Manager Bear and submitted to DCED for the governor's order. That's the grant in regards to the COVID Act. The civil service process for firefighter technician is in progress and proceeding normally. Borough Hall reopened to the public on June 1st, 2021, is operating under the current state CDC guidance and continues to follow our COVID-19 operation plan, which while it's pushed back, it still includes enhanced cleaning operations and restrictions in the building. The borough website is continuously updated now with latest borough information, and as far as COVID-19 information, it lists the availability of vaccines throughout Berks County, ties directly into the county's website. And this last thing, I would respectfully request that the borough declaration of local disaster be continued until the state proclamation is terminated by the governor. What that does is just ties those two states of emergency together and keeps us available for federal funding, state funding, FEMA, and any grant that has to come up and tracking with our expenses.
Sure, yeah,
But the existing resolution adopted by council has the same effect. But I
Correct.
think what we should do is just to confirm borough's intent to continue with the effect of the existing resolution.
the current resolution and the stance was the governor, right? Hopefully that's soon to be pulled, right? Okay, well, I'll make that motion that we continue with the current CDC policy by the governor. Declaration of emergency, I guess.
Second by Keith. Any question on that? those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Pat. Next item of business is the treasurer's statement of operation for the general fund, the Bureau of Water, the sewer funds, the highway aid fund, refuse and recycling fund, and the road tax fund. Greg?
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. Everything Steve said in his presentation on these 18 pages, with the exception of misappropriation of funds. I just wanted to point that out. So basically, you know,
It makes me choke.
Just to be clear, he was head of the finance committee then.
Anyway, so, basically, if you look at the, I do encourage you folks to look through these if you can. I mean, there is a lot of detail in here. We're at May, not quite halfway through the year. But if you look at this thing, we have about 51% of our budgeted revenue already on the financials. Only about 33% of the expenses for the year. So we got a lot going on. The fund balances and stuff like that, the exceeding the budget fund balance, the favorable variance will slowly diminish over time because we got most of our tax revenue and everything. It's just a timing issue. So other than that, you know, the rest of the detail is in the devil's in the details. So they're all on the pages. So those are the highlights.
We hope for a lot of real estate transfer taxes.
You get some of those.
First, we gotta get some
reported last
inventory.
month. Yeah, that was the Equus thing. We got a big chunk of that last month. So that's all I have.
Okay. Any questions for the treasurer? All those in favor of that report, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Next item is the accounts payable for the general fund, the Bureau of Water, the sewer fund, refuse and recycling fund. Any question on the bills that were paid last month? Okay. All those in favor of accepting that report as written, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Tax collectors report. Nobody has that. Any questions on the tax collectors report? All those in favor of accepting that report as written, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Now we have, okay, we have two ordinances that need to be adopted tonight. The first one is ordinance 1419-2021, an ordinance of the Borough of Wyomissing, Berks County, Pennsylvania, to amend the Code of Ordinances of the Borough of Wyomissing, Chapter 20A, entitled Stormwater Management, by amending Part 4 entitled Stormwater Plan Requirements by adding a new section 408 entitled Small Residential Project Stormwater Regulations. Is there any questions from council on these? All those be willing to put that on the table? Motion and a second?
Second.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it, motion carries. It's adopted. Next one is ordinance 1420-21, an ordinance of the Borough of Wyomissing, Berks County, Pennsylvania, amending the code of the Borough of Wyomissing, Chapter 13, entitled Licenses, Permits, and General Business Regulations, Part 1, entitled Fire and Police Alarm Systems, Section 105, entitled Penalties, Letter D, to provide for a fee upon the occurrence of a second false alarm, and to add Section 112, the entitled collection fees to provide the method for recovery of fees for false alarms. Somebody willing to put that on the table?
Take that motion.
Second? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Resolution number 2021-11. Or 10, I'm sorry. That's 11 on here.
Yeah, this one we already did.
Okay.
10 is the fire false alarm.
I don't have a 10. Got a 10 now. The resolution of the Borough of Wyomissing revising and updating the borough's fee schedule for the fees for police and fire response to false alarms. Somebody willing to put that that on the table?
So moved.
Second?
Objection, Mr. President. Same reason, was not published.
Doesn't have to be published.
I got it. I just want my objection noted.
So noted.
Thank you.
Yeah. Got a table? Second?
I did.
Oh, you got the
I'll
second?
give one of them.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Is there any other business to be brought before council this evening? None? We will stand adjourned. Thank you.
Still like that.
Stays like
I heard you sold Express. Excuse me? I heard you sold Express.
I mailed, I don't know why, I felt like I was walking that hand. Sir, has changed. I should not say it.
Really? I'm interested. I like your report.
Bugs that happen. It'll happen yesterday.
So when, some legislative thing, is it Friday?
I keep their.
I signed you up for it, yeah.
Oh, yeah?
No. Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you send it to her, but I'm.
I'll really see
Yeah, we'll see it.
But he comes to Steve and I over to so we got all the kids and we got it.
Sounds like you.
Good, good. So that makes Dick on our back for a while. He told me that. He said, can I? Then we had to sit at a table, he had to go through the whole Yeah, good. Well, he's very happy with that. We don't know how long they have. We played cards. Oh, is he?